America's presence in Africa is often overshadowed by headlines about China or Europe. But what if I told you there's a secret war being fought on that's critical to US interests? From counterterrorism to resource security, America's hidden operations in Africa are shaping the future of the continent and the world. Today, we're diving into why the US can't afford to lose this war. By the end of this video, you'll understand the stakes of America's involvement in Africa, the strategies it's using, and the global implications if the US fails. This isn't just about Africa, it's about the balance of power in the 21st century. Let's start with the basics. The US military's Africa Command, known as AFRICOM, operates across the continent. Officially, its mission is to counter terrorism and promote stability. But critics argue that AFRICOM is also about protecting American access to Africa's resources and strategic trade routes. Here's why this matters. Africa is home to some of the world's most critical resources, including oil, gold, cobalt, and rare earth minerals. These materials are essential for everything from smartphones to electric cars to military technology. If the US loses influence in Africa, it risks losing access to these resources. One key battleground is the Sahel region, which includes countries like Mali, Niger, and Chad. This region is a hotspot for terrorist activity, with groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda gaining ground. The US provides training, weapons, and intelligence to local forces to combat these threats. But many question whether these efforts are truly effective or if they're fueling further instability. Let's talk about Niger. This country has become a hub for US military operations, including drone bases used for surveillance and strikes. Officially, these operations target terrorist groups, but they also protect Niger's uranium mines, which are crucial for global nuclear energy. Then there's Somalia. The US has been involved in counter-terrorism operations here for decades, targeting the militant group Al-Shabaab. While these operations have disrupted terrorist networks, they've also raised concerns about civilian casualties and the long-term impact on Somalia's stability. But America's involvement in Africa isn't just about counter-terrorism. It's also about countering China's growing influence. Over the past decades, China has become Africa's largest trading partner, investing billions in infrastructure and securing access to critical resources. This economic dominance gives China significant political leverage across the continent. The US has responded by increasing aid and investment through programs like Prosper Africa, which aims to boost trade and investment between the US and African nations. But critics argue that these efforts pale in comparison to China's massive Belt and Road Initiative, which has transformed Africa's infrastructure landscape. Another area of competition is technology. Chinese companies like Huawei are building Africa's digital infrastructure, from mobile networks to smart cities. The US has warned African nations about the risks of using Chinese technology, citing concerns over surveillance and cybersecurity. But many African leaders are choosing Chinese companies because they're faster and cheaper. Resource security is another key issue. The Democratic Republic of Congo, for example, produces more than 50% of the world's cobalt, a critical component for electric car batteries. While China dominates cobalt mining in the Congo, American companies are trying to secure their own supply chains. This competition is fueling tensions not just between the US and China, but also within African nations. Let's not forget about Europe. Countries like France and the UK have deep historical ties to Africa and remain major players in the region. France, in particular, maintains a strong military presence in the Sahel, where it works closely with AFRICOM. But as anti-French sentiment grows in Africa, the US risks being associated with Europe's colonial legacy. One of the biggest challenges for the US is winning hearts and minds. Many Africans see American military operations as heavy-handed and primarily focused on US interests rather than African development. This perception makes it harder for the US to build lasting partnerships and compete with China's no-strings-attached approach. But despite these challenges, the stakes are too high for the US to pull back. If America loses influence in Africa, it risks ceding ground to China, Russia, and other rivals. This could weaken the US economy, disrupt global supply chains, and undermine America's position as a global superpower. So, what's the solution? Experts suggest that the US needs to rethink its approach. Instead of focusing solely on military and economic competition, it should invest more in education, healthcare, and local industries in Africa. By building trust and addressing the needs of African communities, the US can strengthen its partnerships and create a more balanced relationship. Regional integration is another key opportunity. Initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area could transform Africa into a unified market, making it less dependent on foreign powers. By supporting these efforts, the US can help Africa become a stronger global player while also protecting its own interests. The hidden war for Africa's future is far from over. The question is, can the US adapt its strategy to meet the challenges of the 21st century, or will it fall behind in the race for influence? What do you think? Is America helping Africa, or is it just protecting its own interests? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with Noble Black News channel for more stories about the forces shaping our world.
Thank you for watching Noble Black News, where we strive to bring you the real stories and perspectives that truly matter. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your community, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. Together, let's continue to uncover the untold stories and celebrate the achievements of the global Black community. Stay tuned for more powerful stories. Until next time.